What is this?
Madam Mayor, it's 6:01.
Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call this Tuesday, June 5th, regular City Commission meeting to order and ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Commissioner Scott, Madam Mayor Pam Triolo,
Here.
Commissioner Scott Maxwell. Here. Commissioner Omari Hardy,
Here.
Vice Mayor Andy Amoroso,
Here.
Commissioner Herman Robinson.
Here.
Thank you so much.
If everyone would please rise for the invocation pledge. Invocation on behalf of Commissioner Omari Hardy.
Lord, we meet to serve our community, to use our resources wisely and well, to represent all members of our community fairly, to make decisions that promote the common good. We recognize our responsibility to the past and to the future, and the rights and needs of both individuals and the community. As trusted servants, we seek blessings on our deliberations and on our efforts here today. May we act wisely and well. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all very much. Okay, agenda additions, deletions, or reordering.
Madam Mayor, the city attorney has brought with him the settlement agreement, and I just had this so that you can see the settlement agreement is in front of you.
I passed it out already.
There you go. And there are additional copies if anyone needs them.
And everything has been signed?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Alrighty, then we move on to, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda.
So moved. Seconded.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We'll move on to our presentations. You have my proclamation. Proclamation declaring June 27th as National HIV Testing Day. Dylan, are you here?
The whole group's here.
The whole group's, hey, I'm coming down.
Nobody came and I. For you, I'm coming down.
You can stand right here. You all come up.
Everybody.
Everyone come up.
Get it.
Please. It's for all of us. Okay. Whereas 36.7 million people are currently living with HIV/AIDS worldwide, 35 million people have already died of AIDS-related illnesses, and an estimated 2.1 million new infections occur each year. And whereas in the United States, over 1 million people are infected with HIV, with a new infection occurring every 11 minutes, resulting in an estimated 40,000 new infections annually. And whereas in Florida, more than 114,000 individuals are living with HIV, with approximately 45 new infections occurring annually. And whereas in Palm Beach County, 1 in 170 residents is living with HIV, and 1 in 8 HIV-infected individuals are unaware that they are infected. And whereas an individual's behaviors, not race, nor ethnicity, nor sexual orientation, put him or her at risk of HIV infection. And whereas new treatments are bringing hope and enhancing the quality of life for those who are affected. However, these considerable advances can only help individuals if they know their HIV status. And whereas this year marks the 23rd annual observance of National HIV Testing Day on June 27th. And whereas Palm Beach County HIV Community Prevention Partnership and the Palm Beach County HIV Care Council, through its partners, are working together to provide HIV testing throughout Palm Beach County during the week surrounding National HIV Testing Day, which is June 24th through the 30th. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim June 27th as National HIV Testing Day, and I urge all residents of the city to be tested for HIV, to know their status, and to take part in other activities and observances designed to increase awareness and understanding of HIV/AIDS.
Julie, get up here, Julie. Julie, get up here.
All right, 3, 2, 1. We'll do this twice. 3, 2, 1. One more. Then June's one. Still look. Go. 3, 2, 1. One more. Most of you look in that picture.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, I'm staying down here.
Hi, how are you?
Let's see. Jennifer? Is Jennifer here?
Madam Mayor, the next one is the Small Cities
Small
Month.
cities? Oh, sorry.
Hold on.
Get on up here. Whereas small cities and towns under 50,000 population are home to millions of Americans and constitute the vast majority of municipalities across the United States. And whereas small cities and towns strive to strengthen their communities through the provision of services and programs to improve the quality of life for all citizens. And whereas the federal government is an essential partner in the success of small cities and towns and must be encouraged to continue to support programs and legislation that strengthen small communities. Whereas organizations, businesses, and citizens are partners in the success of small cities and towns and must be encouraged to continue to grow their efforts to make small communities a viable choice for people to live in. And whereas during these challenging economic times, the need for a renewed intergovernmental partnership to support essential public services is more important than ever to ensure the safety and growth of small-town America. And whereas the National League of Cities president and the Small Cities Council of the National League of Cities have declared June 2018 as Small Cities Month. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, by the virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim June 2018 as Small Cities Month.
He's the representative.
Well, I will say something. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Mayor. As the mayor mentioned the proclamation, small cities do comprise, population-wise, the vast majority of the population in our country. We tend to forget that. And oftentimes, small cities are the ones that are ignored or are forgotten about, if you will, when it comes to the federal and state governments and how they apportion funding and resources. So this particular group, the Small Cities Council, which I happen to be the second vice chair of, represents those thousands, tens of thousands of communities across America. The National League of Cities does have a real strong presence on Capitol Hill, and oftentimes what the National League of Cities represents and stands for carries a lot of weight in Washington. And our goal, as far as the small cities are concerned, is to make sure that the small cities are actually equally represented, if not more proportionally represented, at the National League's board of directors, to make sure that the needs of the small cities are also kept in mind when dealing with the feds and our state governments. So I'm really excited about this. Like I said, I'm the second vice president. In 2020, in the summer of 2020, we'll be having local elected officials from around the country will be coming to Lake Worth to visit for a week, and we'll have an opportunity to showcase all the great things that our city has done and how we've, the positive things that we've done and how we've reinvented ourselves, if you will, over the last 5 or 10 years. So I'm really excited about that, and thank you, Madam Mayor, for reading the proclamation.
Did you say 2020?
2020.
The Gulfstream Hotel.
The Gulf, one way or the other, that's right.
That's right.
It's highlighted on there, Jennifer.
No, I know, there was just a, hold on, sure. I was confused because.
Oh, dear God.
Just call her Mayor Pam.
I will tell you, we'll get this straightened out. This was just handed to me right before this meeting. I haven't had a chance to review them, and I
There was a
apologize.
typo on it, I was confused.
Oh, my gosh.
So we'll get you a
Can
new
you-
one after this. I just want to make sure before I present it to you. Hello there.
Can you go see if, can you see if Sylvina is here and ask her if she can change it right now?
She's not.
She's not here? Never mind, thanks.
Whereas as many as 5.7 million Americans are living with Alzheimer's disease, and that number grows every 66 seconds. And whereas Alzheimer's is the 6th leading cause of death in the United States and the only leading cause of death that cannot be cured, prevented, or slowed. And whereas researchers are working diligently to develop accurate ways to diagnose and treat Alzheimer's disease. And whereas researchers and advocacy groups are making great progress in developing ways to accurately diagnose and treat Alzheimer's disease. And whereas the Alzheimer's Association is marking June as Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month and asking our residents of the city of Lake Worth to visit www.alz.org to learn more about Alzheimer's and join the fight against this devastating disease. Now, therefore, I, Pam Triolo, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth, Florida, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim June 2018 as Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commission. Thank you so much for allowing us to be here. My name is Jennifer Braystead. I'm the Public Policy Manager for the Southeast Florida chapter of the Alzheimer's Association. And I'm here with my good friend and fellow advocate and Lake Worth resident, Dottie Carson, who many of you, yes, who I'm so honored to work with every single day. And we're so grateful for you allowing us to help raise awareness. There are over 5.7 million Americans living with Alzheimer's. There are just under 49,000 individuals in Palm Beach County alone who've been diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease. This is a disease that we need to break the stigma and make sure that we're talking about it, and people know that there are resources out there, and the Alzheimer's Association and several other organizations are here for them, and we'll be there throughout the whole journey. And we thank you for helping us raise awareness and going purple for June. Thank you.
Sure. I will, can I send it to you? Yeah. I'll take care of it in the morning. Thank you so much.
You're late. Where have you been? Everything.
So many old and new friends. All right. Commission liaison reports and comments, starting with Scott.
Sure. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll be brief this evening. Wanted to just point out how humbled I was and glad to have participated in a number of the Memorial Day services here a week or so ago. And it never ceases to amaze me how it seems that in some cases crowds are getting smaller in terms of participation, and it kind of, yeah, it's kind of disheartening and sad that as a society we don't recognize our veterans and those who gave everything in a more appropriate fashion. But the ceremonies I did happen to go to were absolutely wonderful. They were beautiful. They were well done, and I'm just hoping that maybe we can find it amongst ourselves at the city level to find ways to encourage more folks in the future to come out and be a part of this very important and very needed time of the year, but be it Memorial Day or Veterans Day for that matter. You know, it's really important that we reflect on the sacrifices that were made by so many people before us that give us the right to do the things we do every day and to argue amongst ourselves without, you know, hurting each other necessarily. And just all the freedoms that we have, we owe directly to these people. And we need to understand that there will be generations into the future of veterans that need to be equally as honored and recognized, because they too will carry that banner and keep our country free as their predecessors did. So that's really all I have. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Harney?
Sure. This is my first regular meeting back since I visited Savannah for the Congress of New Urbanism. I was very pleased to be a part of that conference. For those of you who don't know what the Congress of New Urbanism is, I was just trying to figure out what date it was founded. It was founded in 1993. It was a group of planners and architects who decided that we should really focus on making more walkable neighborhoods with more diverse building types and all of that. And so, I learned a lot, and I really hope to apply some of the things that I learned here. And so that's really all that I have for now.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Thank you.
I'm very honored and pleased to be reappointed to the Palm Beach County League of Cities as their large city representative, and it's quite interesting. On a local level, we are a large city, and Commissioner Maxwell represents us on a national level, and we are a small city. So it's quite interesting, and I was very honored and humbled to receive the Home Rule Award this year for our activism as a city are lobbying in Tallahassee and Washington for home rule. So I'm very happy. Thank you. We were happy to visit the Hummingbird this morning for their groundbreaking. It has been bought, and they are actively moving forward in renovating it, and it will be 20 office spaces, small office spaces, which are needed in the downtown. And I made a comment this morning saying that I hear on a regular basis people looking for small office space. I know the mayor is looking for small office space in our city now, and a reasonable small office space in and around the downtown. And by creating office space, those people shop, eat, and patronize the downtown on a regular basis, 7 days a week, 5 days a week. So I think it's a great project, and it's just a good thing to have the Hummingbird renovated and something. It's been sitting vacant for quite a long time. Upcoming events, the Mango Festival is right around the corner. They're still looking for vendors if anybody's available and you want to be part of that. And then also 4th of July, staff has been banging out everything ready for the 4th of July. And again, vendors are still welcome for the 4th of July. And we'll see you there. Thank you.
Commissioner Robinson?
I too went to Savannah to the Congress of New Urbanism form-based study. We were intense 4 days of classes from noon to from beginning the whole day long. It was more classrooms than I really wanted to be in, but it was really fantastic, diverse topics, and it was an example of Lake Worth not being that different than a lot of other struggling cities that have tried and failed at some things, and I look forward to knowing what I know, adding it to what our future might be. Memorial Day was, as a veteran, I appreciate the remembrance of those that really did give their all. And I want to thank the American Legion Post 47, the Boy Scouts, Town and Country Garden Club. Carol Wilson played the clarinet up at the park on Federal, and was really a nice touch. Dave McGrew and his crew really had the cemetery in the best shape that they can possibly do with the manpower that they have. Dave McGrew was also in Bryant Park planting a tree in remembrance of Barbara Jean Weber, who is no longer with us. Really a demonstration of Lake Worth's people. Connie Kurtz, I was at a funeral for Connie Kurtz. I don't know if everybody knows her, but she was a figure on the LGBT network of working to give dignity to all people. Her obituary was in the New York Times today. So, and she had been to the Cultural Plaza and spoke with her wife. Went to the NAPC meeting. They're working on the 4th of July, and Captain Bear has initiated his meetings now with the neighborhood presidents, and that's going to be a change. I'm hoping it's going to be even more successful than he is planning. I know it's an effort to communicate, and that's what it's an attempt to do. Tree Board is having an event on June 14th at the library in education and preparation for storm management. The Rec Board has June 11th to August 3rd a camp down at the Osborne. Rec to Go is winding up this Wednesday, I guess. Jaguars are looking to have more football players, whether they, well, they'll have helmets. They'll all have helmets, Commissioner. The rec board is meeting on the third Wednesday. Calero's has closed but will open again in August. Starbucks is open. Hummingbird is going to be open soon. And Victoria's Peruvian is going to be open soon. Looking forward to that. It's a great time to be in Lake Worth. And I want to thank all the volunteers that make up it's the people in Lake Worth that make Lake Worth what it is. And I learn to appreciate that more and more every day. So that's me.
If I had a gold medal, you'd win the report of the week, of the month, of the year. That was awesome. Thank you, Commissioner Robinson. Well, as he just said, he mentioned everything. I was at the Memorial Day event, and it's always an honor to be able to speak at that event and to be there. But I will echo Commissioner Maxwell's comments that, well, this was a tough one because that was a really, really bad rainy weekend. But skies opened up. God is good and kept us nice and dry for that ceremony for Memorial Day. So I'm very, very grateful for that. The Hummingbird Hotel, that was fun this morning to see all that old Dade County pine in there still intact, looking like it did the first day it was ever milled. Absolutely gorgeous. Looking forward to having that downtown. Loving to see new businesses and taking up these spaces. And a lot of the business models of people move into smaller spaces and get their business out there. What was neat about it, which I thought, the one thing that they said was there will be doorways on the K Street side.
The west side.
So there'll be and there'll be 10 by 10 offices in there, but they'll have their own doorways that'll come right from the K Street side. So that'll give it a little bit more of a retail approach, but they're in the spaces where old doors used to exist. And you could see the imprints of some of the spaces where the old doors were and everything inside there, going back to its historic past. So that was kind of neat. I'm heading off to the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Haven't been there in a couple of years. This year I'm going back. Big emphasis this time around on infrastructure. And I thought I could be quite useful in talking about infrastructure, the funding of infrastructure, and how to actually get it done. So that's going to be a real interesting time. There's also going to be some about renewable energy. And I'm hoping to open the conversation and introduce them to some of the things that we're doing here. And, of course, that Gulfstream project that we're working on with Florida Atlantic University. So hopefully we'll be able to really become an advocate for the U.S. Conference of Mayors. It's a different conference than the League of Cities, in that it's funny because, right, you've been with me before, Vice Mayor Pro Tem, you've been with me before. It's funny because there's smaller groups that actually get together, so you might be sitting in a conference or in a program with the mayor of Boston or the mayor of New York or the mayor of whatever with Topeka, Kansas and Lake Worth, Florida, and everybody else, kind of giving insight into it. And it's all mayors. It's really, really interesting. But we get a chance to share some really good. I was able to give Boston some good tips on LED lighting last time I went a couple of years ago. He said, you could have saved me millions of dollars. And I was like, I hope I did, sir. And it's really interesting to be a part of that kind of thing and take that back. I'm hoping to get a little bit more involved with them in regards to some of the programs they have and speaking at. But you know what? For a city, for a small city or a big city or small city, whatever they want to consider us, we're pretty progressive. We get a lot of good stuff done, and we're doing some great projects that others around the country are taking a look at. So I'm proud of us. That's enough. We've chatted long enough. Okay. Moving on to public participation of non-agenda items and consent agenda items. Up first, NAPC Chair John Faust.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Commissioners. Get to Wrath Race shenanigans in 1 second. So briefly, this will be the brevity will be my middle name tonight. The NAPC update real quick. We're really enjoying Commissioner Herman Robinson as our liaison coming to the meetings. We've enjoyed a number of regular visits with our city manager, keeping us updated. And then also there's a program where the city manager is reaching out to every individual neighborhood, giving them, updates from the Mile High Club.
I beg your
Okay,
pardon.
well, I think,
Point of order, clean it up, sir. No.
thank you, ma'am.
My wife is listening.
And also the same thing with Captain Bear. The updates that we were getting that Captain Silva put into place years ago, they worked well. There was a little, it was time to change that, and Captain Todd, or Captain Bear's implementing a monthly meeting with all the neighborhoods, having a specific liaison to bring back information directly from Captain Bear, and that seems to be working great so far. It kind of just kicked into full force in the last 2 weeks, but so far the feedback is wonderful. And the rest of this, I just want to go straight to the 4th of July and the 4th of July shenanigans leading up. So we are now in the home stretch for the 17th annual Great American Raft Race. The theme this year is a race to the zoo. Sunday, June 24th, we kick off with our captain's meeting. That will be at the Blue Front Barbecue property up on North Dixie. Captain's at 5 o'clock, everybody else 6 o'clock for Shoreleaf. Monday, Lilo's downtown. Tuesday, Matthews Brewing. Thanks. Wednesday, CWS Kitchen and Bar. Thursday, Benny's on the Beach. Friday, the President's Kayak Challenge Cup at the Beach Club at the golf course. Saturday, June 30th, Celebrity Bartenders again at the Mad Hatter. This is a Saturday event instead of a Monday event, so we look forward to this being over the top, as it always is. And then Sunday, we added something even newer and more fun this year, an impromptu picnic at the boat ramp Sunday night. This will be 3 days before the 4th of July. There's a lot of interest in sea trials for the boats and the rafts this year. So Sunday night, impromptu picnic at the boat ramps / sea trials. Hope to see you all there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sea trial premature.
Richard Gercio, followed by Kathleen McGivern.
Madam Mayor, Richard Gercio, 720 South Palm Way. Last night, the Bond Oversight Committee and Finance Advisory Board meeting, and Commissioner Robinson was in attendance for both. There's a little bit of a gap in the Bond Oversight Committee as far as leadership goes. I'll start with myself. My opinion was that being removed from the FAB removed me from the Bond Oversight Committee, because one went part and parcel. There were others who disagreed and felt that it was technicality that you didn't specifically do that. So just to avoid a leadership vacuum, I took that chair last night. But a bigger problem is Ben Ellis. Ben Ellis is the vice chair of the board. He was appointed as an extra member, non-FAB member, and then moved to the FAB. At our March meeting, we had a discussion. It suggested that he needed to resign from the Bond Oversight Committee
Quiet in the chambers, please.
in order to then move over to the FAB. So what that did was create a controversy whether or not he was still vice chair of the Bond Oversight Committee. Right? And the city attorney and I had that discussion March 5th, whatever that day was, March 5th. And he agreed that he really shouldn't have to resign from one to move to the other because he's still on the committee. A day or two later, I received a resignation letter because staff told him that he needed to resign. It was challenged last night. Someone challenged him last night that he was no longer the vice chair. So we kept everything status quo for last night so we can get the meeting done, myself included, to come here tonight and ask for direction from the commission as to what to do, not so much with me, but with Ben. And that would need to be addressed. As far as the Bond Oversight Committee goes, all the members received their materials yesterday morning. 3 months worth of stuff, 3 months between meetings. There really is no excuse, for that. It should at least be a week in advance for these folks to get what they need. As far as the Finance Advisory Board goes, we had a good meeting. I was their guest last night. Spoke for about 20 minutes with them. We sat at the table all night. It seems to be an open invitation through budget period that they've asked me to be available to do the same as I did last night. I thought it went pretty well as far as it went. But there is something. When you were on vacation and Vice Mayor took your place, Director Liberty stood here, was asking for direction, authority to hire 6 other contractors. And Commissioner Amoroso was going through the backup and said, has the Electric Utility Advisory Board approved this? You yourself, when you came back during the budget job, asked the same thing about the tie line. Does the board know about this? No one, since the inception of the FAB, has ever said from this dais, has the FAB been consulted? Ever. It's always forensic. So I think the board going forward maybe can use that sort of a push, huh? Where you put something in front of them, you're going to make a big purchase or a big spend, maybe you should put it in front of the board and see what they have to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Kathleen McGivern, followed by Mary Lindsay.
Good evening, Kathleen McGivern, 2121 Collier Avenue. I'm a member of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. Our first meeting was November 6th, 2017. Our second meeting was held March 5th, 2018. Our third meeting was last evening, June 4th. We could not approve the minutes of March 5th meeting because there was no recording of it. I received the material for the June 4th meeting on the morning of June 4th. I called my committee chair, Mr. Guercio, to make sure that I had not missed something earlier. I had not. Nothing had been sent out until the morning of the meeting. Also, imagine my surprise when Mr. Guercio stated that he had received no paperwork for our meeting. With 3 months between the second and third meeting of this committee, staff should have been able to get us our materials in a timely manner. Needless to say, they failed miserably. At last night's meeting, I made a motion to cancel the meeting. I got a second, but the motion failed. A majority of the members wanted to go ahead with the meeting since staff was already there and they didn't want to, quote, waste staff's valuable time. How could any oversight take place without a reasonable time to review the material? In my opinion, it couldn't. As far as I'm concerned, last night's meeting was an exercise in certain board members cheerleading for and gushing over staff involved and insulting their fellow board members who had the audacity to complain about anything. It also involved staff assuring us over and over how every detail, every receipt, everything was checked and triple checked again and again. And as much as I do value and appreciate staff's hard work, why is there any need for a Citizens Bond Oversight Committee? In conclusion, my board received materials at the last minute, materials given to us in a format that would have taken days and possibly weeks to analyze in order to give any coherent, competent information to this commission. I didn't sign up to be a member of the Citizens Rubber Stamp Staff Cheerleading Squad. I signed up to be a member of the Citizens Oversight Bond Committee. Unfortunately, that was not the meeting I got to attend last night. And just as a kind of disturbing side, Chief Bloxham was there last night. I guess he is a member of the Citizens Board Commission Committee. And he was sitting in a corner. He wasn't even at our table. And he was not invited to come to our table. And when I looked at my fellow members and said, hey, let's move down so Chief Bloxham can sit, I was ignored. So anyway, as much heck as I have given you guys over the years for voting on stuff you get at the last minute, I was confronted with the same situation last night, and it's just unacceptable.
Thank you. Mary Lindsay, followed by Clara Miller.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Commissioners. First of all, I want to thank the city, the administration, the Public Service Department, especially because I think they're the ones who did it, for getting all the beautiful American flags up on Lake and Lucerne Avenue in time for Memorial Day. And I know they will be up through Flag Day, which, oh, by the way, is June 14th, which is next Thursday, not to mention the fabulous 4th of July. And they will continue to flutter all the way through Veterans Day. So thank you very much. It just makes me so happy to see that great symbol of our nation all along Lake and Lucerne Avenue. So kudos. My next kudo and thank you is to our incredible Lake Worth Public Library, which has had the courage, the audacity to ask for a little free library right in front of the public library. And this request came from the head librarian and department head, Vicki Jocelyn, as well as Cindy Ansell and Kay Ralston, our children's librarians. Now, these are professionals. They understand there's a risk that there could be commingling of little free library, free keep them as long as you like books, and books that have to get back by the due date from the library. And when somebody had to say it out loud. So I asked them, what about this, ladies? And their answer was so typically Lake Worth. We would rather deal with an oops than a neglected what if. How amazing is that? The city of Lake Worth and the partnerships that have developed between the city departments and the Lake Worth Little Free Libraries is absolutely the envy of all 80 countries where 75,000 little free libraries are spread out. This kind of partnership and collaboration between the Citizens Volunteer Group and the city is practically unheard of. So kudos to the library, and city manager, you'll be happy to know the one that we decided to put there was the Barefoot Mailman. Yes. We even made a little booklet to go inside the library to explain what the Barefoot Mailman is all about, and oh, by the way, not to use it as a book drop for books you're returning to the library. So thank you very much, and thank you very much for the flags.
Claire Miller, followed by Richard Stowe.
Hello. My name is Claire Miller. I'm speaking on behalf of the League of Women Voters of Palm Beach County. When the Sadowski Trust Housing Fund was established by the Florida legislature, municipalities and the public expected those monies to be allocated back to the cities and counties to provide for housing needs. Instead, year after year, those funds have been diverted to other projects. This diversion has had a multiplier effect on both the affordable housing and the homeless population of Floridians. We hope that Lake Worth will pass a resolution that directs the legislature to use those funds as was originally targeted for housing needs. If enough government bodies pass these resolutions and send them to the legislature and the governor, perhaps we can trust that the trust fund will do what was promised.
Thank you. Richard Stowe, followed by Niels Stegel.
Hi, I'm Richard Stowe, Chair of the Lake Worth City Tree Board, and I am here to announce Lake Worth's premier Flag Day event. It's the 2018 City Tree Board Talk. It's called Preparing Your Yard and Community for Storms and the Native Canopy Education Program. It's taking place at no other location than the Lake Worth City Public Library. Doors open at 6. The presentation begins at 6:30. It takes place on Flag Day, Thursday, June 14th. Lori Albrecht is the speaker. She's the University of Florida Environmental Horticultural Extension Agent and a 5th generation horticulturalist. During the event, Ms. Albrecht will hand out vouchers for free native plants at the talk. Vouchers can be redeemed at local native nurseries.
Thank you.
The actual doors of the library closes at 6, so the doors open at 6, and it'll be in the main area of the library, and the presentation starts at 6:30.
Thank you.
All right.
Niels Stegel. I'm sorry, did I say that right?
Yep.
Good. Just state your name and address.
Good evening, one and all. My name is Neil Stegall.
I reside at 3127 Washington Road, West Palm Beach. I'm here tonight to represent the Lake Worth Scottish Rite Masonic Community Center at 2000 North D Street. Many of you are familiar with that building. Some of you perhaps are not. I'm pleased to say that this year we are celebrating our 100th year in the city of Lake Worth. Wow. 100 continuous years. We are a community organization, not for profit, and I'd like to mention a few of the social and community groups that we service, and there's a reason for this that you'll find out in just a moment. We'll start with our Gray Mockingbird Garden, which has been a part of our facility for a long time now. Yeah. Mr. Brian Kirsch. We have homeschoolers, music in the garden. We have painting classes, Earth Day in a commemoration of that, along with the Lake Worth Kiwanis. Children's painting classes. We have several homeowners groups that meet with us. Interfaith Network, Lake Worth Youth Baseball Travel League, the Boy Scouts of America, Lake Worth Free Libraries, and Gulfstream Goodwill Academy, Society for Creative Anachronism, and we have Cooking for the Homeless and Storage of Food. Again, a lot of that is through the auspices of the Kiwanis. Burrito Project, storage of surplus and FEMA food that we make available to the community at large. We have distributions that go to the Lake Worth Library, Pathway to College, Bridges of Highland, Guatemalan Mayan Center, and on and on. We have music events in the gardens. Gulfstream Goodwill meets at our facility many times of the year. We know what a wonderful organization that is. The Lake Worth Interfaith Network. We're a polling place for 2 districts. We have monthly breakfasts that are open to the community. All you can eat $5. Those are very popular. We have several monthly groups that meet with us, the Gem and Mineral Society, monthly Civil War Roundtable, Toy Soldiers groups, on and on. Now that you have heard what we do, basically, I'd like to get to the point of why I'm here before you tonight. Our organization, though it's 100 years strong here in the Lake Worth area, is suffering the ravages of so many other fraternal groups, and that is membership. Our membership is declining. We have a nearly 40,000 square foot building that we make available to the public 95% of the time, which is one of our charters.
I'd like to offer an extension, if it's okay with you, to hear about what we've had a presentation in Scottish Rite before. If I could just give you a few more minutes.
I'll briefen it up. Anyway, our organization is suffering a decline in membership to the point where we feel that we can no longer support the structure that we're in. And we have several options open to us, not all of them pleasant. We've had developers show up right and left. I don't know how they got wind of it, but they show up anyway, wanting to purchase the property, which is on 5.5 acres, and bulldoze that magnificent structure for the purpose of building multi-use, family, and etc. We have an awful lot at stake in that property. Many of us, I've been a member there since 1975. And my main reason to appear before you tonight is to ask if we could schedule a workshop with the proper organization here within the city hierarchy to discuss the possibilities of perhaps a public-private partnership whereby the city gains control of a very, very nice facility with a 650-seat auditorium, and we get to preserve a structure that's been near and dear to our hearts. Our membership has declined from 1,900 down to half that number, but we still love the building, and along with our 60-foot mural, would truly hate to see it fall to the wrecking ball. So my reason for being here is to formally ask for a workshop with the group that you see fit to just have these discussions with us and see if there's perhaps some room in the near future to come up with a
a co-op public-private partnership, which hasn't been working very well in many, many other cities. I've looked into that and see where it leads us.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. City manager, would you arrange for that? I would like to arrange for that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Any more cards?
No, ma'am.
Seeing there are none, we shall move on. Approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion. Moved by Vice Mayor
Seconded.
Pro Tem, seconded by Commissioner Omari Hardy. All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. You're moving too fast for me. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Consent agenda.
So moved.
Seconded.
All those in favor state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. And we have, that's it.
13B.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No.
13B, under the electric utility.
So
Approval for purchase order with Stewart C. Irby for single-phase reclosers.
so moved.
Moved by Commissioner Hardy. Second?
Can we get a presentation on that?
It's a consent item. If you wanna-
Oh, it's a consent item. I'm sorry.
You can pull it off for time.
Would you like to pull it off for discussion?
I have real concerns.
Is it
I'm kidding.
possible?
Hold on,
I'm-
I've got he's got the
I'm
floor.
only kidding.
Are you kidding?
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Fix this April 1st.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor and a second for the consent
I'm
agenda.
sorry, it was a motion made by
Commissioner Hardy,
Commissioner Hardy. Did anyone second it?
seconded by Vice Mayor Pro Tem. All those in favor
Thank you.
state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. And that would move us to the city attorney's report.
No report.
No report. City manager?
Just really briefly, I'm glad you mentioned Barbara Jean Weber's tree, Commissioner Robinson. I attended that as well, and Barbara Jean was one of those people that brought a calmness and a civility to the city and to our dealings. Even and it's such an amazing thing to meet somebody like that and to see what happens in Tallahassee and Washington, and the discord and the problems they're experiencing are a lot about attitude and the inability to see past differences. And Barbara Jean was one of the people I know personally. She touched a lot of you in giving you that idea that we could all get along without being disagreeable. So that was something special. The meetings were mentioned by Mr. Faust that I'm holding with the Neighborhood Association presidents, and that's been very rewarding as well. We're continuing those and talking about things at a 20,000 foot level, not the Mile High Club. The comprehensive plan was approved by the state on June the 1st. We got a clean bill of health, so it came back to us, and that's a big deal. I know that several people were waiting for that to come back and those rules to go in effect. And lastly, the raft for the city. I understand Commissioner Robinson's house is now known as the Skunk Works, which is where the raft is being built. That was actually goes back to
The zoo.
yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to put all the rest of the raft builders on notice that the city's not to be trifled with this year. So
Can we just make sure that I don't almost
You won't
sink
sink.
like last year? It was so close. I was ready to jump off. We moved our way out of the, the launch area, and then we went around to the side to the starting area, and that's when the lifeguards jumped on the boat last year, and all of a sudden it was going, and I said, I'm going down, and then I was like, I better jump off. Oh, that's the last thing I need to do is jump ship. I said, I'm staying whether it goes down or not. And it didn't go down. We managed to make it. We didn't win, but we never do.
winning, drowning the mayor. No, we're winning.
I've been on that every year now.
Yes.
All right,
We've got to make sure we
that's my report.
have to float this time. Commissioner
On the written agenda here, there was supposed to be a discussion about a draft agenda, and I did have a question about the draft agenda for.
Thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Hardy. We have been working with staff to provide a better outline of the agenda that's coming up the following weeks. And in the back of your agenda, you'll see the 19th's outline. And there are items on there for people to see ahead of time as best as possible. These agendas they'll change obviously back and forth, but this is our best proposal as a tentative agenda. So if you have things you want to either put on or discuss at this point related to the agenda, I didn't know if you wanted to.
Yeah, I'm glad that I see the moratorium on the tattoo parlor issue, which I thought was going to be on this agenda, but it turned out not to be.
Yes, sir.
I would like to also see a moratorium on seersucker fabrics within
Baby blue, powder
Just
blue.
to assure you, Commissioner, that the items that were mentioned in that moratorium administratively are in effect.
Okay.
However, seersucker,
It's not.
and I think a moratorium on seersucker would show a severe lack of taste.
And one thing one thing I just wanted to mention, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, I was talking with the city manager earlier, and because we're in the midst of the budget process, and the last budget meeting was quite shocking and crazy all at the same time when we were figuring things out as we went. This is the time when we go in, and we're going to probably be meeting every single week now through budget period to get to that place. I would encourage city manager, and I mentioned this to you, but I just want to publicly do this. I would encourage my fellow commissioners to see, I know you have your weekly meetings, but to block off a minimum of 2 hours of time so that city manager can.
That's a normal meeting with Commissioner Robinson.
With me too, but I know that you're busy and if not more, but I'd like him to be able to bring in staff members related to those budgets for you prior to coming in here each budget period to go through it so that you can go through and find your questions and all that kind of stuff in your meetings and then bring them here to the table so you know what it's all about before you get here. It's a lot of intricate moving parts, and I always like to say, it's a work in process, and it's
Thank you.
living as we move to make those decisions. So it's really, really helpful, especially for the two newer commissioners, to make sure that you get to meet with staff beforehand, so you can ask a lot of those questions first, and then when we come out here, we're educated and we know, okay, what decisions do we have to make to do that? So, Commissioner Hardy?
To that end, being as Stantec is a huge part of it, I would like to be able to meet with our consultants on that matter as well.
Well, the thing about that is that they're going to put in the numbers that we give them based on our decisions. So yes, I think that down process that will be fine as we get closer toward the end. But right now, as we move, this is more about asking a lot of questions about the individual items and finding out where you have questions and stuff that you want to bring before we make the final decisions on it. But just opening it up for time. If you all would do that, I sure would appreciate it.
Thank you,
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Second?
Seconded.
All those in favor state so by saying aye. Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming.
55 minutes.